Hey guys, 1 second. Oh man. Hey, welcome back to TC3 Kids. My name is Pastor Andy. I am the children's pastor at TC3 Kids, and welcome to our TC3 Kids week service. Well, I've got a little dilemma here. I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm going to teach you the Bible lesson today, but I'm also trying to put an order in. You see, I have a nephew who's, he's turning 8, and I want to get him a really cool present. Right, I got to mail it to him. I'm on Amazon right now, and I can't decide which present to get him. I've got two choices here. You know what? I can share them right to you. I'm going to put them on the screen right now. I'm going to share them behind me, and here's the first one. You ready for this? Here it is. Ready? Okay, here it is. All right, here it is. Ready? Here it is. Check it out. Okay, the Ornate RC car stunt, car toy remote control car, off-road remote control monster truck, 4-wheel drive, 2.4 gigahertz RC rock crawler with headlights, double-sided 360 flip RC car toy gift. Yeah, this thing is awesome, man. Can you imagine, like, if I was a kid, dude, I'd be going nuts. If I was at my nephew's birthday when he gets this, I'd be playing with it. I'd probably, hey, I gotta make sure that works real quick. Let me put the batteries in there. That'd be really, really cool, right? Pretty sick looking. But I also know this. You see, his parents have told me that he also has a problem with money. So I have a second. Let me pull it up here. I found it in. I'm gonna hold 1 second. Ready? And I'm gonna put the second. I'm gonna put this on screen too. Ready? Okay. Boom. There. Okay. Ready? There it is. Okay. So here's the other option. You see, my nephew also has a problem with money. He loses his money. He's finding money under his bed. He loses it, falls out of his pockets. He forgets to put it someplace. So I thought this toy piggy bank safe with fingerprint ATM bank, ATM machine money, coin saving bank for kids. It's not as cool as the 360 RC car flipping car, that 4-wheel drive monster truck. You know, that sounds a lot cooler and a lot better than this bank here. This one's a more responsible than the RC car. I just don't know which to get him. Do I get him the really fun, cool gift, or do I get him the gift that's a little more sensible? It may not be as fun. Yeah, it's got a fingerprint scanner on there, but, you know, that's only cool for so long, right? What do you think I should do? I need your help. I really need your help. So take some time. I got a few days. So take some time right now. Take about 60 seconds and think about it. And you know what? Talk about it. What should I do? Should I go with the monster truck or should I go with the bank? I don't know. Well, think about it because I really need your help on this. So I'll see you back here in 60 seconds. All right, guys, welcome back. So what'd you come up with? Just tell you what, send your response to me, Andy at TC3.church. Send that email to me, Andy at TC3.church. Let me know what you think. I'm going to take a survey so I can pick the right choice. I do have some time, so I'm not in a big rush to do it. And it is Prime, so I can send it off to him and get there within like 2 days. But I don't know what to do. But in the meantime, I do know what to do. We're going to continue our series here called This or That, where we're going to talk about what it's like to have people, and maybe you, have a whole life full of making hard choices. You see, the Bible is chock full of people who had to make really difficult, life-changing decisions. And sometimes your life can be like that too. And we're going to do that with the series here called This or That. But before we do that, what do we got to do this? We got to do this part right here. We got to talk about how we read our Bible. How do we read our Bible? We read our Bible by reading it in a year. That's right. We start from the beginning and go to the end. And we do it in one big fell swoop. We go in order. We don't have to jump around, skip around. La-di-da-di-da-di-da-da. No, we do it in order because we want to stay in the order that God has called us to be. That's right. And today, well, if you remember last week we talked about a story about the stoning of Stephen. That's right, the stoning of Stephen and this or that. And so the stoning of Stephen was a really hard story. It was about a man who had a choice to make. He had to make a life choice of, do I stand for God in the midst of danger? Or do I just crumble and just cower away and not listen to God? He made a real hard choice, and it cost him everything to make the choice to listen to God. And today, we can talk about, oh boy, I've been looking forward to this. I saw this, I'm like, I am looking forward to this. I can't wait to it. We're going to talk about this guy right here, called about this guy, Timothy. I love Timothy. This guy, Timothy, is chosen. You see, Timothy has to be one of my favorite Bible characters, outside of Jesus, of course, in the entire Bible. I love Timothy. He's one of my favorite characters in all the Bible. I love him. I love his story. And there's a lot of choices that have to be made about him. Yeah, a lot of them. But before we get there, guys, you know what we need to do? We need to get ready for battle. If you were here last week, we get to choose team names. If you're by yourself, that's okay. If you're by yourself, you're by yourself, and you get to choose which team name we're going to come up with right now. I have two different words in both buckets. We're going to come up with a team name. Now, if there's more than one of you, if there's two or more, you get to make yourselves into two teams, and you get to choose which team name you want. All right, so here are the two names here. Okay, the first one is, let's see, this one is the squalling, what are we going to call it? The team one is going to be the squalling hashtags. The squalling hashtags. Okay, that's a weird one. Let's try this one here. The other one is going to be the electric, oh boy, the electric pancake batter. The electric pancake batter. Those are some weird names, but whatever name you choose, just know this. Your name is awesome. The squealing hashtags or the electric pancake batter. Oh, that is so weird. I love it. Now, we're going to put questions on the board, and you get to decide which one, this or that. And whatever you choose, you get a point for your team. And if you win, guess what? If you win, you get to stand next to the person and say, good game. That's right. If you win, you get to stand next to the other person. And if you're by yourself, you get to look in the mirror and say, you rock. All right? Now, let's get started here. As we talk about how Timothy, this guy Timothy, was chosen. All right? First thing you got to know is that there's, of course, we talked about how there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a guy named Paul. And Paul, if you remember, for a few weeks back, we talked about how his name was Saul. Now, Paul, was there at the stoning of Stephen, by the way. He was actually in the Bible. He was there. He watched Stephen get stoned. And God changed his life. And Saul, through the revelation of Jesus, turned into Paul, an amazing guy who became this greatest disciple and this guy who just spoke the truth. And Paul made friends with a guy named Barnabas. Now, Barnabas and Paul went around for many years. They went around from church to church to church and building churches. For 2 years, they went around building churches. And after 2 years, they returned back to their city. That's a long trip to go from that city to that city to that city to that city to that city, and building churches everywhere. Remember, not from hammer and nails, but through people, relationships, and teaching of who Jesus is, the Son of God. Now, after 2 years of really hard, difficult work, what do you think Paul and Barnabas decided to do? Well, let's go put that question on the board right now. We're going to get to choose this or that, okay? Do you think this? Did they decide to visit the churches after they got back home? Remember, they got back home. Did they decide to go visit the churches they started to see how they were doing, get back on the road and go visit them again? Or did they decide to take a break and rest up for the next big journey? What do you think they decided to do? You got to pick this or that. Did they, after 2 years of hard work, did they say, hey, you know what? I got my breath. Let's go back on the road again. Or did they say, nope, you know what? We're just going to take a break here and we're going to rest up because we got a big journey ahead of us later on. What do you think they did? This or that. Ready? 3, 2, 1. They picked this. They decided to visit the churches they started to see how they were doing. That's right. They got back in the road. They got back. Can you imagine like going all over the world and then getting back on a plane and going all over the world again to everywhere you just were after 2 years of work? Woo! Not even taking a break? But hey, those guys are hardcore, right? Barnabas and Paul? Oh, they were great, man. So they went around and they went to all these different churches and they packed their bags and they went around to go visit. However, there was a little hang up. You see, there's a little hang up. Paul wanted to take this guy named, Barnabas wanted to bring his buddy named Mark. Barnabas wanted to bring Mark along with Paul. And Paul thought it wasn't a good idea to bring Mark on this trip. They thought, this guy Mark, Paul was thinking, Mark is not a good fit for what we're doing, for whatever reason. And we don't know what the reason is, but Paul was trying to decipher what God was telling him to do. He said, Barnabas, I love you, you're my friend, but I don't think Mark is a good person to bring on this trip. So, what do you think they did? Did they do this or did they do that? Let's see. Let's put that question on the board. What do you think, though, Paul decided to do? Did Barnabas finally agree to leave Mark behind? Or did Paul and Barnabas split up and go in different directions? I mean, they worked together for 2 years. You would think that they would all want to go and visit the same place, right? Maybe Mark wasn't the right fit. Or did they split up? What do you think they did? Think about it. Make a good choice here, this or that. Well, the answer is they did that right there. That Paul and Barnabas split up and they went in different directions. Now, that's really hard to do. Think about it. Think about it. You spent 2 years together as good friends, building the churches and doing so many amazing things, seeing some miraculous stuff going on, and then they split up. Barnabas and Mark went one direction and Paul went the other. Now, while Paul was traveling, he and Silas, Paul took a man named Silas with him. They met a man named Timothy in one of the villages. Now, Timothy was known in the village as a great disciple of God. This guy was lit up. This is probably somebody that Paul and Barnabas met early on, right? And Timothy was there in one of the churches that they built in this city and with the people and the relationships. And Timothy was just lit up. This dude was on fire. He loved God so much, and a lot of people spoke very well of him. But here is the thing. See, Timothy's heart and passion to serve Jesus was what Paul and Silas loved. They loved that about him. However, you see, something is here. See, Timothy was considered to be very young, though. He was considered to be young. Now, Paul and the others, these guys are probably old. They were probably beard and stoic, and they had a lot of age. And back then, if you were older, you were considered wiser. Timothy, we don't know how young Timothy was. He's probably not 12 years old. He was probably in his later 20s or so. Still considered a young man. And he stopped and said, well, what do you think happened next? You see, Timothy wanted to join the journey, but they didn't know what to do. They said, should this young man join him? So let's pick this one. This or that. What happened next? You ready for this? Paul said he would come back someday when Timothy was older and more helpful to join him on his trip. Or did Paul invite Timothy to come along right there even though he was young? What do you think Paul did? Did Paul say, hey, I'm going to give you some time to get ready, keep studying, keep working on it, I'll be back, I promise? Or did he say, hey, you know what, drop what you're doing and come, pack your bags, and we're leaving right now? What do you think happened? Did Paul take Timothy right there? This or that? Think about it. Ready? Yeah. Boom. They picked that. Paul invited Timothy to come along even though he was young. So Paul, they didn't take this guy Mark. Paul didn't take Barnabas and Mark. Instead, he decided to go with a young guy named Timothy. Sort of an odd choice to make because Timothy was considered young, and if you were young, you didn't get a lot of respect. I mean, if you were old, people respected you. They were like, "Oh, you're old, you're wise, you must be great." Well, Timothy, if you're young, it's sort of like you being the teacher of the classroom. You may not get all the respect that an adult may get, and the principal may look at you like, "Are you sure you're qualified for this? You may be smarter than like every teacher in the school." But the principal's still going to look at you, and all the parents are going to look at you like, do you actually know what you're doing? I mean, you're 9 years old. Oh, man. Or my nephew who's turning 8. Whoa, hey, nephew, you sure you know what you're doing? You're just very young. Well, Paul went with Timothy. He went with Timothy and said, you know what, even though you're young, I want you to join us on this trip. And so, yeah, they started doing big things. Now, as many as you can guess, many years went by and something goes wrong. Something goes wrong on this trip. Now, what do you think happened? What do you think, which of these two things went wrong? Only one of them went wrong. One is right, one is wrong. So which one is wrong? Paul was arrested and thrown in jail for telling people about Jesus, or that Paul got sick on one of his journeys and died. Ooh, man, that means that Timothy would take over. So what happened? Was Paul arrested for telling about Jesus, or did Paul get sick and die on his journey? I wonder what happened. Think about it. Maybe you know this one. You might know this answer. If you don't, we're going to show it to you now in 3, 2, 1. Well, this happened. Paul was arrested and thrown in jail for telling people about Jesus. Paul was arrested. When he was arrested, he was thrown in jail, sort of like a lot of people back then, for basically loving Jesus and teaching things that were not very traditional. Even though what he was teaching was true and people knew it was true, the people that were in power didn't like what he had to say. It sort of didn't go along with their plans and the way they wanted to teach in the church. But even though Jesus taught a different way, hey, this is how it's supposed to go, they're like, nah, we like our way better. So they arrested Paul and they put him in prison. Paul had to come up a way, though. He wanted to stay in touch with Timothy. He loved Timothy. He wanted to stay in touch with him. He wanted to keep in touch with him, but he had to find a way to stay in touch with Timothy. How, if you're in jail, how do you stay in touch with Timothy? Squalling hashtags, electric pancake batter? What do you think? Let's try that one. Here's another question. How did Paul stay in touch with Timothy? Did he do this? Did Paul write 2 letters and send them to Timothy? Or did Paul invite Timothy to visit him in prison? Well, this way over here, he doesn't ever see Timothy. And this way over here, he actually sees Timothy face to face. So which one do you think he did? This one's going to be tricky. This one might trick you guys up. So make sure you pick the right one. This or that. 3, 2, 1. Well, it was this. Paul wrote 2 letters and sent them to Timothy. And those 2 letters are in the Bible. Yeah. It's called 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy. The most amazing names ever, right? And for a book of the Bible, 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy. The first letter to Timothy and the second letter to Timothy. These were letters that Paul wrote while he was in prison to help encourage Timothy and to lift him up and to push him and motivate him to keep going and build the church, even though it was going to be hard and it was going to be very, very difficult to do. Remember, he was young, and so maybe he might not get all the respect that Paul would give. Yeah, there's a lot there. And so that brings us up here so even though Paul was in prison, Paul wasn't scared, and he wrote 2 letters to Timothy. You see, here's the thing you need to know. Sometimes you're told you're too young, aren't you? You're saying, hey, you're too young. I got this little diaper here, right? Like, you're just a baby. What do you know? God has used kids your age all the time. He's using kids your age right now to build the church. He's using kids even younger than you. That people may say they're too young and they're just not mature enough. They're not good enough. They're not smart enough to do what God's called them to do. They don't know what's going on. They don't have the experience. You know what? I think you need to turn that off. If somebody's telling you that you're too young, you're too young to build the church, to be an example, and to really bring people into a relationship with Jesus Christ, you need to say, you know what? You see this thing right here? I outgrew these long ago. I don't wear those anymore. I don't know about you. I don't wear them anymore. That's what you need to tell them. Hey, you know what? God's called me to be amazing. God's called me to be awesome. God's called me to do some supernatural things like build the church and today to lead other people into a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's awesome. Hey, you know what? I have a Bible verse. It actually comes from 1 Timothy. Our power verse comes from the letter that Paul wrote to Timothy. It's 1 Timothy 4:12. And we're going to put that on the screen right now. And I want you to stand up, and we're going to read this together. Okay, y'all ready for this? We're going to read this together. So on the count of 3, say this with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 3. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. You know what? I want to pray for you right now. I want to pray for you because some of you might be thinking you're nervous and you're scared, and you might think that you're too young to do things that God's called you to do, but you're not. So let's pray for strength right now. Here we go. Ready? Close your eyes. Ready? Dear Jesus, thank you for today. We pray, God, that we can be strong. That even though Timothy was young, you still used him. Help us to be a Timothy in this world. Somebody that others may look down on because we're young, but at the same time, Lord, you don't. You look on us with grace and with power. You give us what we need to build the church today that is so needed. Help us, Lord, to make those relationships and lead them into a decision that follows you and honors you. Heavenly Father, we pray all this to your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Hey, you know what, guys? I think I know what I need to do here for my nephew. Yeah. The RC truck or the bank, I think I know what the better answer is. I don't even think I need to say what it is. I think it's going to help him grow a little bit better and be more responsible. Oh, put that back. It's going to help me be responsible. And that's what you need to do. So until next week, we get to join in and go through another amazing week of this or that. Until then, keep working at it. Stay awesome. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.